In today's video, I'm gonna show you my 5-step process and the 5 things that you need to master to shoot some awesome and beautiful summer vacation videos using just your smartphone. We're just gonna talk about the settings, the gear that we're using, and everything else that you need to know to capture some beautiful shots. So without any further ado, let's get started. What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, welcome, super excited to have you. My name is Julian and I'm the creator of Smartphone Filmmaking Pro. On this channel we talk about making better videos using our smartphone. We also share with you how you can take those skills and turn that into a profitable business. So if that sounds interesting for you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So the first thing that is probably on the top of your mind when it comes to capturing beautiful summer vacation videos using just your smartphone is accessories and gear. And that's what we're gonna start this video off. And in my opinion, probably the number one thing that you should invest your money into is obviously a good smartphone. To be honest, like the smartphones that we had in like 5 years ago were already really damn good, so it does not mean that you have to have the absolute latest and greatest. But when it comes to smartphones, I would recommend that you have one that is possible or that is capable of shooting in 4K at up to 60 frames per second. And ideally, it should also have an ultra wide angle lens so that you can capture these beautiful landscapes that we have around here. So in my opinion, the best smartphones out there are the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, obviously. And the phone that we're using to record this video right now is the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. So in my opinion, from the smartphones that I have tested, these are the best ones out there. Next to the smartphone itself is, the next investment that I would put my money into is a 3-axis gimbal. The one that I have in my hand right now, this is the Science Smooth 5S AI. To be honest, you don't have to have this specific one. There are a million other very good options out there as well, like the HOMI Steady M6, for example, the HOMI Steady V3, the DJI OM6. So there are plenty of different options out there, and on this channel we have basically countless of videos about them. So some kind of gimbal, and what is even more important is that you actually master how to use the gimbal and to use the gear that you have as a whole. In case you also plan to capture some audio as you're hearing it right now, I would very much recommend that you get a proper microphone system. The one that we're using right now is the DJI mic. It's the original one, not the DJI Mic 2. It captures some clean audio. The good thing is also if I'm moving around, you can still hear myself because it is connected directly to myself. And it is also very crucial that you have a wind protector, because if you're on an island in your summer vacation, it's probably gonna be very windy. And then the last thing that I would recommend that you should probably invest some money into, and that is some kind of an ND filter system. So for the S24 Ultra that we're currently using, we're using the Freewell case, and we're also having the Freewell ND filters. By the way, this is not sponsored by anyone. And the cool thing is with them, like they basically cover all of the lenses. We're currently using, I think, the weakest one, but yeah, they just have a bunch of different strengths. And if you're shooting on a bright sunny day as we're having it right now, it is crucial to use an ND filter to get the proper exposure with the right shutter speed to have a natural motion blur. But that's basically it when it comes to the gear. And if you can't afford all of that for now, then just start using with your smartphone, get some creative shots. But now I would say, let's move on to the next tip. All right, the next step that you need to master to capture some beautiful vacation videos is using the right video settings. And there is no like right or wrong, and there is no like, if you're not using these very specific settings that I'm showing you today, that you're not gonna get beautiful shots. But from my experience, these are just the settings that I'm always using that I found the best results with. So what you can see right here, this is my camera screen. I'm doing a screen recording, and these are the basic settings that my iPhone is recommending. So when it comes to capturing some landscapes, as you're seeing them right here, this does look very beautiful, and you will always get the most beautiful shots with the 1x lens. But to establish a location and to show off like how big it is, using the ultra wide angle lens just creates a completely different view. And if you combine the ultra wide angle lens with a 3-axis gimbal, you're just capturing some absolutely amazing results. It's almost hard to capture some not beautiful shots. So using the ultra wide angle lens, as you've seen in the videos, like probably like 80% of the shots that I'm doing were shot with the ultra wide angle lens. At the top right, you can see the resolution and the frame rate. I always like to shoot my videos in 4K. Also with the S24 Ultra that is capable of shooting in 8K, we're still just shooting in 4K. Next up at the top right, I'm switching over to 4K at 60 frames per second because this offers me the opportunity to slow down my clips afterwards. And that is basically it. Another thing that you always have to do when you're filming your videos is make sure that you long press on the screen, that you lock the focus and the exposure. I always like to bring down the overall exposure of the iPhone just a little bit as it tends to overexpose. And then if you're filming like this, you will get some absolutely amazing results. That's basically it when it comes to the settings right here inside of the camera app. I'm also going to show you the settings that I have in the settings app. So inside of the settings app, if you go to camera, you can see record video. I'm shooting at 4K at 24 frames per second. By default, I have the enhanced stabilization turned on. And one thing that is crucial is I have turned off the HDR video. I know if you're in a scenery like this, having an HDR video looks absolutely beautiful on the iPhone screen, but most regular computer screens are not capable of handling that. So you will have some hard time actually transferring that to a regular color space. So that's what I'm using. I'm also not very often using the ProRes log video. It's not because I don't like the type of quality. Obviously it's way better, but in my opinion, the shots are just way too big for, for a day-to-day usage. But that's basically it. These are the settings that I'm using, but now let's move on. All right, so in the previous tip, we have already talked about all of the different settings. By now you have the proper gear, you have the right settings. One tip that is absolutely crucial to make basically any video look better is to capture a large variety of different shots and to use all of the lenses that your smartphone has to offer. I'm so often getting the question from people like, what kind of add-on lens should I get? And do I need the anamorphic lens and all that kind of stuff? But to be honest, if you're using all of the lenses that your smartphone already has, you're gonna get some beautiful shots if you're using them right. One thing that I always like to do whenever I'm at a location is to capture the same thing using at least 3 different lenses and in 3 different perspectives. So let's say I'm walking down this path right here, then I like to capture it with the ultra wide angle lens and a gimbal. And probably I took a pretty bad example because there's not a lot to capture here with a close-up shot, but generally speaking, make sure that you capture the pool, for example, with the ultra wide angle lens. Also use the 1x lens to get some medium shots and also get some close-up shots with the 10x lens of the S24 Ultra or the 3x lens of an iPhone. By doing it that way, you're just capturing a large variety of different shots, and then in the post-production you just have a lot easier time to get a beautiful looking film in the end that is also interesting for the viewer to watch. So whenever you're capturing something, don't always use the same lens, don't always use exactly the same settings, just mix it up to spice up your videos. One thing that is also absolutely crucial to capture some beautiful shots in your vacation, and that is probably even way more important than what smartphone that you're using, what gimbal you're using, what filter, what settings, is that you actually take care of the time of day when you're capturing your shots. Generally speaking, filmmakers always say that the most beautiful lighting is during golden hour, as we're having it right now. It's the first hour just after sunrise and the last hour just before sunset. So long story short, whenever you can, obviously capture shots during golden hour, but there are also certain objects, certain areas in your vacation area that probably look better at during noontime. When it comes to capturing a pool, for example, or the ocean, you just get these very vibrant and very awesome looking summerish colors during noontime as well. So long story short, if you're just starting out, just capture large varieties of different shots during different times of days, and then just make sure that you pick the most beautiful shots in the post-production. One tip that I wanted to share with you, there are some awesome apps out there that you can use to see exactly where the sun will be at any given time. So you can see right now the sun is just behind this building, and in like 20 minutes or so, this spot where we're right now would not be a good spot to film because I would already be in sun. And I can do the exact same thing, for December and September. And you can see how the sun is moving, and I can also see where the sun will be at any time during the day, so I can just plan ahead my shots. The app that I'm using right now is called Sunseeker. All right, and last but not least, let's talk about some very basic and simple to use gimbal moves that you can use basically for any summer vacation video, but more or less also for any other type of video that you're capturing. The goal is to make the shots look dynamic, make them look cinematic, and overall just, bring up your production quality to the next level. So what you can see right here, this is just captured in 4K 60 frames per second. What I'm doing is I always long press on my screen to lock the focus and the exposure, search for a beautiful spot like this one right here. You can see I'm also using the grid, the rule of thirds, basically to frame my shots. I'm not really using the rule of thirds right now. I'm just using it, to center the most beautiful thing in my frame. So I'm again long pressing on the screen, bring down the overall exposure, exposure just a little bit. I think that looks good. And then I'm basically just doing a straight push-in. That's the first gimbal shot. Let me show you what that looks like. So I'm just bending my knees to make sure to get rid of any up and down movement. And as you can see, you're getting some beautiful looking shots. You can use that to open up the scene. You can use that to establish a location. You can basically use that for any type of scenario. And I'm just gonna show you another way on how you could use that, because here there are a bunch of very cool looking trees and the sun is shining through it, and I just wanted to capture this shot. Again, long pressing on the screen to lock the focus and the exposure. Bring down the overall exposure a little bit. I think that looks way better. And then I'm just going to bring the gimbal a bit lower down to get a more interesting view, and then just do a straight push in. Try to get rid of the up and down movement as good as possible. And then we'll just see how that looks. Generally speaking, in filmmaking, there is not like every shot that any filmmaker is capturing is always beautiful. Also, when we're filming, like probably 50, 60, 70% of all of the shots that we're getting, we're not actually using that in the final video. So just capture a lot more than you think you will need. That's the first one, the first gimbal movement that I wanted to show you, just a straight push in. One easy addition that you could do to the straight push in is also adding in a tilt down or a tilt up. So let me just show you what that would look like. Instead of just going straight forward, I'm also tilting down and moving forward to get a beautiful looking shot. And the next gimbal movement that you should add to your toolkit is also a super simple one. It probably does take a bit more practice compared to the straight push-in, but it's also quite simple. And the gimbal move that I'm talking about is the parallax. And basically the idea is that you're moving in one direction and you're panning the camera into the opposite one. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like with this palm tree. Probably not the most beautiful shot, but I'm just moving to the right and my camera and gimbal is moving to the left. So the palm tree always stays in the center of the shot and everything else around it is moving. So I could also show you that with Alex right here. As you can see, he's using the S24 Ultra, moving in one direction, panning into the opposite one. And this just creates a very dynamic shots that you could basically use for more or less any scenario. And it will always bring up the production quality of your shots. All right, guys, but there you have it. If you follow all of the steps that we have talked about in today's video, I can guarantee you will have some beautiful looking shots that can end up in a beautiful video. Obviously, you also need to know how to color grade, how to edit your videos, and ideally you should also know how to plan your videos. So there is a lot more to learn, but the shots that you have right now, they're gonna be beautiful. In case you would like to learn more about content creation, in case you also want to learn how to edit your videos and how to turn those skills into a profitable business, then definitely make sure to check out the first link below that like button. We've just launched a brand new Content Creator Foundation course teaching you the basics of content creation, filmmaking, editing, but we're also showing you how you can land your first client, so how you can start making money, and the basics of social media. It's basically for free. The first link down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, as there will be more content coming very soon.